Good morning, everyone. Let us please take a moment to share what topics you would like me to cover today.
The illusion of war and separation. Ascension awareness. Bliss.
Projection.
Hold on.
Destiny.
Wait.
Million things at once.
Multi-dimensional.
Start over. What were they?
The illusion of separation. Ascension awareness. Bliss.
Projection.
Okay, hold it.
The war in Israel.
Patience. I heard one.
Feeling more alive.
Okay, that's good. Thanks. No more. Mark, what did you say?
Bliss.
You know, the world is going through all kinds of struggles. I mean, this is just the beginning. There'll be more. We've talked about that before. It's not that I'm intending to be gloomy, but the human ego, as well as the evil that was created from our collective ego, has no intention whatsoever of not existing. When we're in a state of love, it doesn't exist. And because we're learning to anchor and become the presence of love, it's already losing power. Well, what happens when something begins to lose power is it fights harder to keep that power. We know that happens in nations and in politicians and whatever else the case may be. It fights harder, you know? And there's people in your lives where you've said, you know what? No more. That's enough. They will try what I call the good cop and the bad cop routine. Sometimes only one or the other. But, you know, the weepy face, oh, please don't, I promise I'll change. All you have to do is tell them, I believe you. So get back to me in a couple of years and show me that changed person. And the good cop will quickly become the bad cop. And you'll see their real nature. Now, if they say to you, you're right, I will. They go out, 12-step programs, counseling, full-on changes, and they come back and they're a peaceful person. I think that's fantastic. And they deserve your ear as a friend. I didn't say as a partner, as a friend. You know, they're people. You're okay now, my mom, my dad, they made changes. Good, I now will interact with you as people. You see? But the odds of that are so slim, I feel confident that you won't have to worry about what happens. Most people, nations, government officials, etc., pretend one thing and do another. But it's nice because you're testing them. You're able to say, oh, you know, for the 50th time, you're swearing changes? Really? I believe you. Get back to me. But I want also permission to speak to your counselor and your sponsor so that we can all agree that you've made all the changes that you're telling me. And I'm telling you, they're going to go from please but to how dare you. See? Because that's showing the real, not God real, but that's showing that real part of them that has no intention of making change. The world, the egoic world, evil has no intention of changing. It will whine a little here and there to get your sympathy. Hold your center. All that matters is God, love, peace, joy, oneness. This is my path, healthiness. And nothing can steer me clear or away from that path. So you'll find that things go through typically, just about anything, through 3 stages. How many times have you heard me say 3 sets of chakras? There's 7 primary chakras, but the upper 3, the lower 3, and the middle heart. 3 of this and that. You'll hear me, Trinity, right? Constantly, because the Trinity has been the number one, most important number or symbol when it comes to understanding things. Why? Because things tend to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. An end that cycles you back to a new beginning, a middle, and end, and so on. The universe being cyclical. So, Sedona, for example, is like that. We'll call it the Sedona experience. Experience. Okay? There's this thing, the Sedona experience, and people are like, oh, wow, oh, no. The first stage is always the euphoria. Yeah, right? You'll come to Sedona. My guides told me I'm supposed to move here. Those aren't your guides. Those are your misguides. Giving misguided information. No, it's not that you don't have guides and such sharing these things with you, but what I'm saying is they could be going, don't do it, and you're hearing, oh, I'm supposed to move here. Because you can override the voices of guidance. Because you're going to want to hear what you want to hear. And the world wants to hear what it wants. And the ego is going to tell people what it knows they want to hear. Quick fixes and so on and so on. Addictive lifestyles and behaviors. So we can call it the Sedona experience, but there's that beautiful euphoria. And when I was coming here for many years on tour, once or twice a year, I'd come through and do a workshop or a lecture somewhere. And it came to pass, I brought people on a sacred sites tour, and we hit all the Anasazi sites and things like that through, I think, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. But I also, as part of that tour, I did a talk at this center here, the Unity of Sedona, it was called at the time. And, and I remember we went, the students that traveled to join me, and we went, on a walk, and we went and sat in this one area, up on this one small red rock. And we just kind of hung out, and I remember going, if I was ever to be dumb enough to move, I'm kidding, to the desert, because I lived in the lush green Northwest, it was like, oh, heaven. And I'm like, if I ever lived somewhere in the Southwest, it would be this place, Sedona. It's really amazing. And then when I did the talk at the center, they said, would you be our spiritual leader? And I was, no, not at all. No, thanks. Long story short, they were persistent. And I thought, this is so strange. Because when I sat down in the audience, waiting to be announced, introduced, and come up, I heard a voice. They're going to ask you to be their spiritual leader. And I was like, if you're God, you would know that I'm going to say no. So you can't be God. But it was. And it knew that I thought, not knew, that I would say no. It knew that I thought I was definitely going to say no, but then changed it to yes. Because when you hear the guidance, the euphoria, it's exciting. Oh, this is going to be great. And they want me as a spiritual leader. Guys, I was booked up. I was busy. Tours. I couldn't just end these things. Well, long story short, within a matter of months, I ended up here. And what I'm saying is, notice, though, that I said no. Notice that I didn't just hear it and jump. Listen and wait. And wait. Don't allow addictive behaviors, rash behaviors. Oh, this is pretty. I think I'll move now. Wait. Because you're not having what you think you're having. Just absolute guidance to be here. Wait. It's a stage. The euphoric stage, like a relationship. Wow, this has got to be great. Careful, sit with it, think it through. I'm not saying we can't have instantaneous, exciting things. I think it's great. We can have that. Whether it's passion, friendship, all kinds of things can, the lottery can be wonderful to have, right? But sit with it and check this out. Does this feel real? Does it feel right? Does it feel loving, peaceful, joyous? All right. Now, what happens, and it's happening in the world, is we're all going through a dark night of the soul. It's a global dark night, which has almost never happened on this planet. But there is, I hear an amen, a global dark night of the soul, which basically translated means we're going to hell in a handbasket. Now, when you go through the dark night, it doesn't mean, oh, I hear the economy's down a little, housing's up a little. That's not the dark night. The dark night is when everything, war, you asked, a couple of you asked, relationships, family, housing, this and that and the other, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. The more we hold our center, the more it's going to heap wood on the fire to try to get everyone to give in. You know, there's this thing. People, you know, some religions, some traditions, they're like, this is end times. Well, in a way it is. But time is an illusion. So the end times means the end of illusions. I don't know if you can hear them online, but you should hear these folks. Yep. They're almost doing the amen, you know. Southern Baptist Church kind of thing. No. We call that chanting, but that's normal in Sedona. You know, which means, oh yeah. So global dark night. Wow, heavy stuff. The more you hold your center, like in a relationship, the more you hold it, the more they try to get you to react. They meaning anything that is unlike center. That which is uncentered tries to pull you to their game. Well, you know, and one of you is asking, illusion, the illusion of war, the illusion of separation. We'll come back to that in just a sec, but it's the end of time, and that's a good thing. But endings don't feel good because of our attachments to what was not being there anymore. There's going to be a time, and it's right now and soon, where people are going to say, and I remember saying this years ago, but it's almost surreal because most of us in this room have had children. Most of us have gone to amusement parks. Most of us graduated, had graduation day. It's getting to the point none of those things are going to happen anymore. Your children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren, they're not going to have those things that you and I had, which we think, oh, I can't believe my granddaughter will never be able to walk up the aisle, look at somebody that they're going to divorce in a few years and say, forever. I just don't want them to miss out on that. You never realized how screwed up that was. Instead, wish them real love. On the altar or not, real love. Teach them how to develop real friendships instead of a once-only illusion. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with partnerships that can go on forever. I think it's fantastic. But generally speaking, the institutions of this world are dying because they never were of any real value. Most people in history that ever had a certified marriage certificate, most of them never understood real love. And that's really heavy to say that. I'm not saying they didn't have marriage. I said real love. Real love means you go through the euphoric stage, hell, it all hits the fan, and you still come out the other end saying, I love you more than when I met you. Almost nobody gets to that third stage. I can say that. I liked you all when I moved here. I guess we know where this is going. I gave it away. I liked you all when I got here. This was euphoric. It was wonderful. Everybody, it was thriving. And then still challenges and crazy people acting out and attacking and judging and gossiping. And it made me go, you know, I could be in the Northwest right now in my hot tub. I could be sitting overlooking forests and greenery and beauty. I don't need this. Remember, I'm saying this, you too. Your partnerships that test you, the word patience, one of you brought up. The testing of patience. Patience doesn't come to those who are just totally blissed out already. It's those who think they were blissed out now being tested to say, was it real? Third stage. Was it real? And you and I are in the third stage, and almost nobody gets to that place. We could only get to the third stage because we were evolved enough to say we are not giving up. Somebody acts up, somebody gossips or whatever, and I've asked you folks, stand up to that sort of evil. This world has provided people with unhealthy relationships, gossip, as much as that, all the way to slavery and things like concentration camps. All the stuff this world brings. Our job is to know the truth and respect the illusion. This is not God's will. You see it happening. You feel, you pray, you support, you pick people up when they've fallen. You help people how you can, where you can, and so on. Even though their pains are part of the illusion, we're not done with the illusion yet, so play the game. Be helpful, be nice. There's people out there that are going, oh, I moved to Sedona, and oh, I'm amazing. I pray and I chant and this and that and the other. Mala beads and whatever else. Aren't I cosmic? No, actually, it doesn't impress me. Somewhere out there, there's some ethnic 90-year-old woman who taught her children to be nice people. She sits in a church in her own little zone with God. That impresses me. She taught them, you will not behave that way. Right? I mean, I love that. All the words and I recite sutras and aren't I cool? No, not really. Because you're doing the first stage of spirituality. Let this all hit the fan, go through the dark night of the soul and tell me about it afterwards. Because that dark night is the testing ground. And most people give up. Great relationship. Wait, no, it's abusive. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stand up. You're gone, buddy. Ooh, look, a new person. With the same mind that created the last one. Stop, pause, take a break. Go to hell. Get in there and look at your deepest, darkest stuff. Now, wait. Instead of quickly manifesting someone else, I think I'm going to look at my patterns. Oh, wow. Unlovable? That makes sense. All 5 ex-husbands show me that I was unlovable. And I thought if I just find somebody that winks at me, oh, I am lovable. And I do. Right? And it's like, wow. They say that's the shortest sentence in the English language and the longest. I do. Anyway. So, so you go and jump into something and commit to something, and then you know what? You get heartbroken because you keep thinking it's going to make up for the last several crazies. And it can't. This cannot change until you change. And you're not changing just because you attracted a new stimulus. Sedona. I'm glad. Congrats. I'm glad you feel that way. And you folks, when you hear people going, guess what? You know, I went and meditated and I saw sparkles around the mountains. I guess it's a sign I need to move here. Just say, no, it's acid from the past. It's just tracers and such, from LSD 40 years ago. No, I don't think you should say that. I'm just saying that. But it could be whatever, but that doesn't mean you don't move here yet. Wait, check it out. Jesus uses the term test the spirits. Test it. Buddha says, don't just jump on things, test it. See if it feels right. I played with this several times, this idea of moving to Sedona. To have the Sedona experience. This is how I am, guys. I don't have the Sedona experience. I have me. You are greater than the Sedona experience. I swear to you. This is a region. That's all. It's a piece of geography, geology, and so on. It's just dirt. You are incredible. You're a holy child of God. Listen to me. You bring more to Sedona than Sedona brings you. But you don't know that yet, so you're still wowed by this piece of land, dirt. Wow, I have such low self-esteem. When I sat on this dirt, it made me feel great. Well, that's why your relationships are so messed up. You know, it isn't them. But if you think it's them and you think it's Sedona, you're heading for a really dark second stage. The more illusionary you live, the more off your mind is, the more illusions you carry about Sedona or whatever else, the more you're going to go through hell when you get here. I thought Sedona was going to be perfect. I thought Sedona was going to be great. I moved here and my guides and whatever. So I moved here and I expected everything's going to be just wonderful. And then you find out it doesn't work that way because wherever you go, there you are. You're still there, you know? So be patient, be careful. You come here and the more you don't know who you are, the more you'll put an expectation on Sedona, the more it will fail you. For me, it wasn't really an expectation on Sedona. I'm a deeper thinker than that. So I didn't come here and go, oh, Sedona's going to save me. No, you know. I've been all the holy sites on the planet, couldn't care less. I don't care if the Great Pyramid was beamed up and planted next door to my house. I don't care about sacred sites. I like people, more importantly, than sites. The sites are cool when you can bring people to them and those people can work together to create an anchoring of grid work. But it isn't the place. You know what would happen if it's the place? When you go there, you're wonderful. When you leave, your life sucks again. That's codependence. You have to be able to take it with you, and the only way you can take it with you if it is you. So bring something to sacred sites. Bring something to your grid work, even if it's in your backyard and you're doing 4 directional prayer. It doesn't matter. Don't try to get from the land. Stop trying to take from the land, the energy, the grid. All Sedona can give you is an earthy and energetic awakening. And you go, well, that's great. Well, it's still an illusion. It's really you ready for the awakening. But let's pretend, like a good chiropractor that can move a vertebra into place, Sedona can do some magical things like that. I think it's great. Now, did I just contradict? No, I didn't. Listen carefully. It can give you earthy and energetic shifts. It cannot give you spiritual shifts. It might seem like it because you're having energetic experiences that you think are spiritual. Spiritual is, the highest spiritual is Christ consciousness, as Yogananda said. The complete awakening. You don't come to Sedona and suddenly, boom, Christed. What you do is you come to Sedona and Sedona says, hi, we're Sedona, which originally was pronounced Sedona, by the way. So everybody walks around calling it Sedona, and that'll never change. But it was originally Sedona. It was named after a girl whose name was Sedona. Sedona. Anyway, so the idea is that you come here and Sedona's saying, welcome. Beautiful, aren't I? Yes, you are. Isn't it? You feel the energy? Yes, I do. I can't even sleep as well as I used to back at home, I just feel, well, yeah. And Sedona will say to your soul, we're also known as Vortex. You're going to tell me Vortex? Yeah. We're also a magnifying glass. We're going to magnify everything. Because you're living under a magnifying. Everything's magnified. If you have abandonment, welcome to Sedona. Squared. Financial issues, there's almost no city on the planet that can drain you as much as Sedona. Everything's quadruple priced, renting, and it's so strange. And this is all for a reason. It's not to criticize. I'm saying, get past the delusions, and know what you're getting into. Don't come here unless you can afford to be here for a couple of years easily. Now, some of you say, well, I didn't. It's okay. You are where you are. Let's start there. But if you were starting over, have a little bit of money behind you so you can get through the dark night of the soul while you're here. Then you can afford a little more ease to get to the third stage. If not, it's going to chew you up, as a lot of people refer to Sedona. Oh, this place chews you up. Why do you want it, why is it in such demand? I heard there's this town that chews you up and spits you out. I want to move there. They don't have it in the advertising brochures, guys. They don't. Welcome to hell, But it happens. And I'm asking you folks, as often as you can remember, when you hear people talking about Sedona, gently, tactfully, remind them. And, yes, it's beautiful, and it can also be very intense, especially if you hear them looking depressed, see them looking depressed. If you hear them, you go, oh, you've been here for a little while, haven't you? How did you know? Because it takes about a year for this to kick in. Yeah, usually a year. Could be 2, but thereabouts. This is like your geographic Saturn return. It's intense. But did I say it's bad? I never used that term at all. Just intense. Purging stuff. I didn't have that thought of Sedona is going to change me. What I got attached to a degree, was not Sedona. It was how nicely everybody was getting along at our center 12, 14 years ago. But after a year or two, stuff started magnifying and bringing out the worst of a few people. And those few people did a lot of hurtful things to everybody, tried to. And it didn't destroy us, but it weighed heavy for a matter of months. But there's a couple magical things that had to happen that brought that to an end. One, we kept loving and forgiving as best we could. 2, the lesson I got was that up to that point, I was the temporary spiritual leader. I asked them to hire me as a temporary so they wouldn't be devastated when I left, because I thought I'll be here a year or 2. Once again, mistaken. So, but something had to change, because I would have only been here a year or 2. But here's what happened. I thought I was here a year or 2 to share and teach them, and then move on. What was happening was God was saying, you're going to Sedona and you're going to anchor the Christ light. And since Sedona is the #1 New Age Mecca on the planet, when you change Sedona, you're changing the planet. So am I going to come here and just talk? Gospels, Matthew 3:5. Let's turn our Bibles to, that's not my style. And I wasn't going to just go, you can do it, a positive, thinking kind of a minister that some of them are out there, very successful, because they're empowering, but no, that's not my thing. We go for it, man. We go all the way. And I can see even more appreciation in Sedona because it has, energetically, it has the capacity for the highest teachings. So that allowed me to step into it and go, here we go, baby. I get to, we get to, you get to. Let's go. So that's what we did. And one of the things that had to happen when I'm going, God, we're anchoring in this light. I'm doing what you've asked me to do, and I'm here, and so on and so on. What's with this weird thing, this little splintered few people that are trying to these few trying to manipulate the many? And here's the missing piece. In a sense, Spirit was saying, these people are trying to come in because there's nobody owning the place yet. You're a temporary. They sense that you're just another, like a stepdad, that they can, you need to step in. And I was like, now that sounds like, okay, well, that's easy. No, I was like, you're kidding me. That means I have to commit to being here. And I was already thinking I'm leaving. So I had to go, got it. Because I knew instantly. And I asked the people attending, do you want me to become solid and permanent here? And I actually said, because let me just share, if it were up to me, like Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, going through a dark night of the soul, if it's up to me, let this cup pass. I'm like, well, Jesus said it. Cool. Before I had talked to you all, God, if it's not up to me, let this come. I was happy to go bye when it all happened. And I realized, what's really being called? Show up. When I showed up, they all lost power, these few people. There was nobody to attack. The children were susceptible to attack because daddy or mommy wasn't home. I was only passing through. You see what's happening? So I'm saying this about your life as well. You can't be airy-fairy, which is another version of me coming into town and leaving. It's beautiful. It was fine that I did that all my life, but something needed to change. Something was happening. You can take things to another level when you go from only being one type of person in one location and you start to move and energetically create. That's great. Other times, you need to move from doing this to doing this. Take ownership of your life. Sometimes you're attracting predatorial types of people only because they can sense you're not home. You got to show up. You've got to center and show up. Predatory animals never say, wow, the biggest, baddest, big-horned creature, let's try him out. They look for weak ones, sick ones, small ones, which in a word is vulnerable ones. All of us who have ever experienced any kind of harassment and abuse, someone was sensing a weak spot and they went after it. I'm not saying you're wrong or bad. I'm saying let's look for our weak spots and hone those. The best way is God. If God fills those weak spots, that's your best place. It's called the armor of the Lord. You'll still have challenging moments and so on, but it changes. And you'll look at your lives and just reflect in what I'm saying. Make this relevant to your own life, and you'll find this to be true. You've owned a business, and there was a competing business, and they tried to destroy you. They're always doing these things because they're insecure. Forgive them, they know not what they do. They're insane. They're jealous, they're competitive, they're all messed up. That we know. But don't attack them for it. Strengthen yourselves, and it can't have any effect. I'm not saying shame yourself for the times you didn't feel as strong. I openly told you about the experience I had, and I said, it's very clear. Wait a minute. I need to, show up. Do you guys want me to be here as your spiritual leader instead of leaving? Please, please. They said, please do. Inside, I'm like, because the easy path would have been leave. The tougher path and unfamiliar path for me was lock in. Time to get a place. Instead of spending $3,000 per month on a rental, that's how much it was even 12 years ago. Instead of spending $3,000 on a rental, let me go and spend $2,500 on a house that I own. Let me go get a place. Let me see, grounding and anchoring. But I was communicating it too to the folks. So watch. The Sedona experience is fantastic, but like any euphoric thing, of meeting a new person and so on, there's the stage of excitement, then the second stage, where we get beat up. We go through stuff and usually give up or go numb. Some people stay in it and go numb. And they have great evidence of how it's not a mistake that they took that job or married that person. They'll say things like, yeah, but we've been married 50 years. We just had our 50th. Do you love each other? Are you totally? No, but we've 50 years. We got photos. It's what an illusion, So some people are going to say, yes, I'm numb, but I made it to 50-year mark. Yeah, it's not great evidence. Okay. That's like, it's just not, it's not real. So to be able to look at your life and say, the job went from one stage to another, to know whether you made it to the third stage in a job, relationship, planet Earth, a new town you moved to know is the level of peace, love, and joy that you feel. Okay? I feel that easily with the center, our attendees, easily here. In Sedona as well, but I'm not the type that go, wow, Sedona has more beautiful topography. as though it has a power, like it doesn't entrance me. What I like are people and the work we do together. Honest to God, I like this more than anything out there. I like the topography of this room and online people whose hearts are open and the sincerity is there. That's the wow factor to me. I swear to you, I'm not like, and after this, I'll get rid of these people and I get to go on my hike, and as though that's what I dig. And you people are a job. I don't see that at all that way. And I encourage you, find that in your life. It may or may not seem easy, but it is inevitable. It's going to happen. This world is saying, look, you're going through the dark night, which means you're definitely going through another cycle of the second stage of relationship with earth. And in that, all your illusions have to go, either now or later, a lot or a little, until it's gone. Until you don't have any attachments. I'm not saying you're detached, but you're just non-attached. It's in the center. Attachment, detachment, non-attachment. You feel at peace. You feel centered. You feel clear. You feel guided. And you notice the people and the things around you just, wow, it's just fantastic, right? Where you go, you just bring your smile, your light. If you can't afford living in Sedona, don't say, God told me I must be here. God wants nothing to do with your poverty level. God does not want you to be sleepless, unable to pay bills and going through hell financially. That's not God. God wants you to be at peace. Live where you can afford. Well, I wish I could go to Sedona. Then increase your income. God doesn't want you. There's no God that says, I need you to be in relationship with that person. There are people that live like that. I can't leave. It's against my religion. You're right. It's against your religion, not God's. You fabricated some weird story about how you're not allowed to end a job or whatever it happens to be that's unhealthy and dysfunctional. God's saying, you know what I care about is you. Just like what I just said. I care about you more than Sedona. I care about you more than the car. I care about you more than your marriage certificate. Are you happy? No. In any area? No. Then you need an overhaul. God's not going to say, good. That's a good religious person. You've already been nuns and priests. You've already suffered enough. Come to life. Come to life. Like, God, be a nun on a holiday, man. A priest that goes to town. Parte. Just come out. Feel alive. I'm not saying lose yourself in party. I'm talking about in this party here. I'm allowed to be happy. You're allowed to go to bed and not be afraid of the person next to you. You're allowed to live without fear of that family member that keeps calling, harassing you. You're allowed to be, live lively and at peace with God without someone threatening to take your business from you. That's the stuff of this world, and it's the second stage, and the world is going through it. Some people will go so far as to say, the world, oh my God, it's ending, and there's an antichrist, an individual that's going to rule the world. That anything is possible. But I've never heard anybody say this. It's already happened. There's no country that's actually going to ever be able to take over all the other countries. It's not ever going to happen. But it did happen, but it isn't a country. It's the internet companies. And nobody's realized. All they have to do is push a button. They cut you off from everyone else. They can affect your finances. They can affect your mood. That's the Antichrist. It's the companies that rule everything already. Beep, this is going to get cut now. Anyway. Oh my God, so borrowed time. I'm picking up the words borrowed time. No. It's true though. They're the only ones. They can have military might without a military. You see, I won't go too much further with that. Just understand it's already here. The technologies, so that someone can take your voice and post it somewhere as though it's you talking. and nobody knows the difference anymore. That's already happening. It's not like a what if. I mean, it's already happening. Our job, hold your center. Don't buy into it. Don't play into it. Just hold your center. But what if they do this? They're going to. Right? Wow. So, hold your center. What do you want to be? A light worker, a daughter of heaven, a child of God. Then when other people are afraid, your job is not to feed into it with them. Say no. You know, it's true, there's this, but here's what I do. I pray. I pray to be guided. I pray to be clear. And those are the people who in the book of Revelation are told to be these like saints of God, the chosen ones who are promised to be safer and guided while the world is falling apart. There isn't one or 144,000 of them. It's anyone who chooses to be, but you do have to choose it. And the sooner you choose it, the more promising your life will be. But am I talking about choosing to be one of the 144,000 Christians? No. Am I saying that it's just about that through the end times? No. I'm talking about be the one, not 144,000, be the one in your relationship. Be the one at work. If you can't handle holding space at work, how could you be talking about transforming the world? I'm going to go to Sedona and I'm going to do energy work up on the mountains to transform the planet. You still have the same addict partner. You still have the same narcissistic mother. Clean it up. Clean up your own side of the street. I'm not saying you have to be perfect before you come here or anywhere else and do light work. I'm just saying don't start looking immediately outside. Clean it up here and then you'll know what to bring to the outside. As I clean this up, I'm able to talk to people about it. You know, I went through that too, and here's what I did. Might I make a suggestion? See, you're preaching if you haven't done it.
Yes.
You're preaching. That's old school. Preaching used to be acceptable. The world is saying, oh, you know, building the old concept of you go in this building and if the priest says you're evil, then you're evil. If they say you're good, then you rely on them. It's all that's dying. Old institutions, old rules, old law, all the stuff of this world, old politic, old economy, it's all dying, it's all changing. Because it never really had power, so now it's proving that it's all powerless. It has no power, it's worthless. So this concept, a good example of this, our beloved musician, John Dumas. I'm not sharing anything that's private, but I know that he said that he was doing his life in one respect. And he came to Sedona and it activated this musician many years ago, decades ago. And it, boom, and it's like magical, this place at times. But remember, it's you that's awakening. It's not the place did it. It's not like you were incapable of waking unless you come to Sedona. That makes something else have power outside. You are magical, but you think you need Sedona. You think you need Newport Beach. You think you need Maui or whatever you think. That's our belief systems. So he comes here, he's this activation as a musician. He takes that out there and brings it to the world. Very cool. But he also witnessed the dark night phases of that. Now, when it was time, he's semi-recently come back to Sedona. And when he did, what are you going to do for the third stage? Just be a better musician? Could be. But third stage isn't just about new excitement. I've heard John say that awakening, connecting with Christ consciousness that we brought made him go, oh my God. And I love that. I'm so proud of that. But he has successfully made it musically or personally through third stage. But are you? Where are you? Are you still in the early stage of, I'm here because I'm euphoric and I'm visiting Sedona. It's fantastic. Great. This too shall pass. It's never real until you've held it while you went through this. That's when you know that it's real. Then the universe says, congrats, you're not doing the euphoria, you've become this new level of consciousness. You are a new level of musician. This isn't a fad. This isn't exciting. You are a new level. Now I am. You see? I've always felt good teaching what I teach. It's Christ consciousness, etc. But I have no doubt that any time I've gone through personal stuff and dark night of the soul, it affected, matured how I teach. It isn't so much the words. It's this thing here feels more solid. It's interesting. I can see that I'm teaching what I did, 30, 40 years ago about Christ consciousness. But it's interesting as this stuff comes through and I channel and people go, wow, that's amazing. From the first talks I ever gave, wow, Michael, that was amazing. I'm like, great. But I thought that's all it was, that, I do a talk, it's amazing, and I leave. Becoming that amazing energy is different. And that didn't happen by me lecturing, by becoming, by applying this stuff while going through hell. That's where it really kicks in. That doesn't mean when I was going through hell, I'm like, well, this is exciting. I know that when I come out of this, I'm going to just be even a better teacher. No. There was the why me, what's going on, I can't understand this, There's all that, because that's normal dialogue when you're in the darkness. Where's the light? Can you turn on the light? Jesus, if this cup, could pass, let it pass. I mean, we all say that. The difference between a truly spiritual person and a non-truly spiritual person is that, like Jesus, he answered the question differently than the average person. Most of us just say, why me? And we sit there waiting and commiserate. Jesus said, why me? Oh, I get it. And he went through it. He answered it differently. So one of the things that's unique, and I'm going to come to a close in a second, one of the things that's unique to understand is the idea, the concept of Jesus as a teacher is that he became completely Christed. Notice if you understand about Buddhism, for example, they say there are several Buddhas, okay? Perfect, that's wonderful. Buddha's a level of consciousness. It's someone who gets over the illusions of this earth plane. Jesus or Christ consciousness is beyond universal consciousness. That's different. You're not trying to compare like, my God can beat up your God. I'm not doing that at all. I can easily tell you that it doesn't matter because Jesus, Buddha was Siddhartha was Jesus' last incarnation before he became Jesus. So I don't see them as a dualistic. Jesus, that individual, attained Christ consciousness. And in fact, his mother, Mary, attained a profound level of Christ consciousness. She showed how it was lived, complete receptivity. I am a handmaiden of the Lord in her fashion, and he did it in his fashion. Awakening the Christ doesn't mean you have to live exactly like or are like him. In fact, you're asking for their help to awaken it in your way. How do I live this consciousness at my job, in my particulars? We find that the general themes are the same, but the behaviors, the specifics are slightly different. One thing I'm going to share before we're done completely, and it's partly based on some of the questions here. Yes, there's a part of us that thinks we separated from God. And in our belief that we separated, and I've shared these concepts many times, but here's one of the strangest things to hear or learn. That we think we separated from God. Now watch. We are co-creators. We think we separated from God. What kind of state of mind are we in? A separated, broken one, because you're no longer in your holiness. So that broken-mindedness then manifests a universe. Now watch this. Broken mind created a broken universe or a broken world. But what's interesting is we actually think it seems so much easier to come in and be a victim on the planet. You know why? Because then you're not the one who co-created a broken world. Think about this. No matter how much of a victim you are, even if you're I don't really see myself as a victim. If you can catch a flu from someone else, that's a victim. You're a victim of their virus. Someone else can raise and lower your day, not just bad things. Even people that make your day, it's still a codependence. Something outside. Well, I don't believe in any of that, man. I'm an autonomous godlike being. Great. If a comet lands on you, you're gone. You are still subject to the laws of this world, and Christ is not. Christ who? Christ Jesus. No, the Christ in you. Let the Christ that was born in Jesus be born in you as well, is the saying in the New Testament. And that's exactly right. The Christ in you can't be a victim. It's mutually exclusive terms. So how do I get to that Christ if I can't be a victim at the same time? And thinking and pretending you're not a victim isn't what I'm asking you to do. You know, I refuse to be a victim. I'm not talking about being angry and I'm not a victim of this. I'm talking about a centeredness. We seemingly left God. We feel ashamed for it. We feel broken. And what we did is co-created a world that reflects broken-mindedness, not empowerment. God says, don't you recall you are gods and goddesses? How many of us on this planet live like that? Have you ever seen a breaking news story? Strange event, gods and goddesses were on a flight and did this. Gods and goddesses were having a conversation. No, it's always good guys and bad guys and this and that. Duality. So the tricky part is that we're actually co-creating a world of brokenness so that we don't have to own the broken minds that we have. And here I'll go one level weirder. It means that our sanity, peace of mind, is relying on playing small. See, I must play small. Even if I'm a successful spiritual teacher, still need things to go wrong because it's not all my fault. You can't be a god or goddess and not take responsibility. So you and I must not, we better not step into God goddess, because then we're going to go, but if I'm a God goddess, the ego is going to pull me into the courtroom of consciousness and say, oh, Mr. God and Goddess, that's what you want to claim as your title? Let me show you the life you manifested. You want to pretend you didn't do this, but do you know you co-created the Depression, World War II, concentration camps? Not me. See what's going to happen? So the ego says, okay, listen, honey. I'm sorry I was a little tough on you a moment ago. I'm going to shut the book with all the scary pictures, and I'm going to say to you, you don't have to take responsibility for any bad things in the world. Really? 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 Yes, really. All you have to do is play small. Once in a while, I'm going to do things that you might end up a victim of, but remember the alternative. A victim now and again, or the book. Don't make me reach for the book. And we actually say, I'll take this. I'll take littleness. Because then I'm just annoyed every day, hurt every day. Not terrified as much as the big book. You see? So what are we going to do about that? Well, there isn't an easy answer except one. Forgive yourself for believing you were separate from God, which is holiness and peace and joy. Forgive yourself for thinking that, and then forgive yourself for the actions you committed while you did believe in those things. Okay? It's apologize and make amends to the best of your ability. Own it. Well, I'm not going to own concentration camps. I had nothing to do with that. That tells me you especially have a charge in relation to that. Well, I have nothing to do with racism. You better work on that one too. You'll know that you don't have to work on it when it's not in your face. When it's not on the news, when you don't feel triggered, when you don't have nausea, it's so easy. I mean, you'll see little things when you go on YouTube to watch the only thing you watch, me. I'm kidding. But you'll see other things on YouTube, and it'll be like somebody that horribly hurt somebody, and immediately, I can't believe what I do is stop. Good one. Oh, good one. The antichrist of this world that tries to keep us broken is constantly trying to trigger you. Why would the antichrist of the universe, of the world, why would it have created a way to be in your face with thousands, not dozens anymore, thousands of things per hour to judge. Why would it work so hard? Why would it do that? Because it's losing power. You and I only had dozens before, but we worked on it. We learned about forgiveness, taking responsibility, 12-step program, clearing addictions, and the ego's going, oh, we can't have this. Stimulus, more. And it looks like it's winning because there's so much more evil. No, it's the illusion of evil. More pictures to trigger you. Careful, don't react. God be with me. Well, I felt a reaction. Giving that reaction to you, Mother. Let me feel your presence instead. Neutralizing it, clearing it, healing it. As it comes up. It comes into your life, clear it. Comes into your life, clear it. That's light work. Light work isn't pretending to be spiritual. It's walking that life. No higher version of it than living the Christ life. Take a few centering breaths, please. First centering. Tuning into all the things we covered. Breathing easy. I am on the inhale. At peace on the exhale. Reflect back to anything that was discussed that could be helpful. It could be that you were moving here or you were thinking of moving here, and maybe that is a trigger. It's okay. You didn't hear anything bad. Just relax. The timing was perfect. Told how to navigate that middle cycle, the challenging times. Recognize and own the feelings you had at any time in your life, including today, this week, this month. Anytime you had doubts about inspirations, anytime the challenges came up, hear the voice of the Mother carrying you through it. Not relying on your strength, your muscles, your intelligence. Surrender. There, and she is. What if she was there carrying you through those, inspiring you, guiding you? Hear the notes, hear the sounds, not outside. Hear them like they're in every cell of your being. Her voice is in every cell, and she's carrying you. Defenses, your old skill sets, they can relax.
Let it all go.
She's telling you, I'm carrying you. I'm always with you. She's the comforter.
I am with you.
She's the comforter that Jesus promised to send you. All is well.
I love you.
Feel your heart opening to receive. Take a deep breath and let the front and back of your body push outwards. The front pushes forward, the back pushes back as you breathe in deep. And then relax the breath. Breathe in side to side. The right goes to the right, the left to the left as you breathe in fully. Feel the chest breathe upwards towards the ceiling, your pelvis downward as you breathe in again. The whole body filling. A couple of breaths pushing in every direction. Forward, back, up, down, left, right. Every direction. Full room throughout the whole torso. Fill me, Mother, fill me. You'll feel ribs that were glued together opening up if you do it right. Open, breathe open, and let all the muscle groups expand. Down, up, down, forward, backward, side to side, everything. Here I am. And now gentle. Peace. Be still and know the I am presence of God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Slowly integrate back into the room. Peace, thank you. In a moment, we'll do collection and closing prayer, but not yet. I want to just share deep gratitude to all of you for doing what you do on your path. I'm aware that we hit the second stage at times, and it's not easy. I'm always more impressed by one group of students, friends, attendees, viewers, always more impressed not by the people that first attend and say, wow, this is amazing. I'm more impressed by them saying that, then having their moments of doubt, fear, challenge, ego, and then saying it again. And I recommend the same thing to you. someone's wowed by your appearance, I think that's flattering. That's nice. Thank you. See if they feel the same way after you've irritated them. For whatever reason. Mind you, if you're being hurtful to someone, of course, that's not what I'm saying to do. I'm just saying if they start projecting stuff, can they still love you afterwards? This includes your children. We love you, Mommy. Love you too. They're 2, 3, 4, whatever. It's when, can I borrow the keys to the horse? And you say no. As an old TV reference, sorry. Michael Landon, he was a pretty cool guy. And one time he said, we had to quit filming Bonanza at some point because we're like getting older and older. What are you going to make an episode where you say, Dad, can I borrow the keys to the horse? Making it modernized Bonanza, In any case, yeah, is that it? I mean, as soon as you say no, there's irritation that starts. They sometimes even say, I don't like you anymore. Do you get devastated? That's codependence. When you do that's fine. No, I don't like you anymore. You won't let me borrow the car whenever I want. That's fine. When you can hold that and they can come out the third side and say, which by the way, in child psychology, it's said that usually they can't even get to that point till they're around 30. So if you think that at 21 they don't appreciate you, you've got 10 years to go. I hope that never happens to you. But if it does, don't take it personally. Someone's having an ego flare-up. Just still love them. Okay? On that note, I will say this much. We do a lot to maintain that thing that I'm describing as a spiritual center. We do a lot, and it's not because it's work, it's because it's what we know has to be done. And there's times when I've heard people, gossiping, and people say, "Oh, my friends that." They talk about friends that don't even know us, never been here, but they already have stories about us. And it's like, you know what? Don't just passively allow that. Tell them, I find gossip to be a form of evil. Call them on it. Shut it down. Don't allow it. Oh, but then I'll lose my friends. Good. Because if they were friends, they wouldn't be crucifying things you like. That's just one thought. But one of the things that came up recently that I thought was outstanding, and that is there are spiritual centers. There are people that come here. They want to rent. We're the largest spiritual center in terms of how many seats there are. So people would like to use the place if they have a program. But we say no to programs that don't resonate. We slip once in a while. But for the most part, there's a certain integrity. They don't all have to talk Christy. They don't all have to look the same way we do. No. But at least in the ballpark of healthiness, God, love, not fear, and so on and so on. And again, there's variations once in a while, but I think it's astounding that the fact that we say no to some of them, they have to go somewhere. So there are centers in town. I'm not saying all of them. There are centers in town that feature all the ones we rejected because they weren't into the light like we are. They'll just rent to anybody and so on. I don't want you to do that in your romantic lives, your parenting lives, your friendship lives. No part. Don't settle and become a collection of incongruence. It's funny because people will go, there's this one center that has this. There's this other center that has that. They don't know what's really happening there. They're people that couldn't or wouldn't maintain niceness or godness or whatever it happens to be. So I find it to be a little bit ironic at times. It's kind of like an inside piece of humor, like, wow. But I say it anyway so that you are aware of what you're doing. Don't just think centers are centers. Don't think churches are churches. Don't think spiritual teachers are all spiritual teachers. However, when one teacher was being crucified some years ago in this town, completely disagreed with the person's lifestyle and teachings. It was just a bit out there. And so it was a bit drugs and hypersexual, all this kind of stuff. But I didn't care. I didn't even know they existed for most of the years they were here. But at the end, people started crucifying him. All those who loved him, stage 1, also started crucifying him, stage 2. You know what I did? Don't know the person. And the person even thought that, our success was part of what was ruining their success in this town. We didn't even know they existed. So they're making up stories. So in stage 2, for this person, you know what I did? I reached out and asked if they wanted to sit with me. They don't even like me. They never met me. But do you want to sit so I can talk to you about what you're going through? And I did reach out, and we did have certain discussions about, don't take this personally. What Sedona's doing happens when you're here a couple of years, which you've been. I actually stepped up to help this person that was interpreted as us and our success being part of their ruin. I didn't agree, and I never brought up with the things in his life, her life, that I disagreed with. I don't need to, because right now I'm here to be a spiritual brother to say, it's okay. This is normal. You might consider some changes as lessons from this, but I'm here to help you because they're crucifying you. Who's in the wrong? They are. Hurtful people are off. So I always stand by the people that are the most loving, the most right in mindedness. I hope that makes sense. I don't say, well, I owe it to my mother. If she's wrong, she's wrong. I don't care if you're my partner. If you're wrong, you're my child. I don't have any allegiances to things of this world. When someone's being hurtful, I'll say no. Someone who's being hurt, I'll say I'm there for you. Practice standing with people, not because they're victims, but because of the symbolism of the behaviors. Show the universe I stand by what's truth, what's God, what's right. You see? All right. We're going to take up collection, please. Please, please be as generous as you can be. We much appreciate it. Folks online, there's a button you can click to donate there as well. Never give from what you don't have. Give from what the recognition that you do have. I'm a holy child of God, and what I give, I receive bountifully in return. Karma, finance, goodness, friendship, support, all of it. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you. It'll take a minute or two for them to pass the baskets, then we'll do our closing prayer. While they're passing those, can anyone share what they learned or heard today that made the most sense, that felt the most important, and or could make a difference in your life with other people? Yes?
Yes, that the first stage may feel like bliss, but once we go through stage 2 and get to stage 3, the real bliss happens.
Stage 1 feels like bliss, but it's not there. Only stage 3 can be the bliss. I promise you. Stage 1 is only a surface level. It can't be synonymous with bliss. It can be synonymous with excitement, stimulus, and all kinds of other cool words, but not bliss. Yes?
Also with the 3 stages, and a reminder that when you're entering and into stage 2, instead of saying, oh no, you can say, aha.
Yeah, you get into some of this instead of, oh no, it's aha. Oh, that.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes?
That it's okay to doubt
Yeah.
and to check in.
It's okay to doubt.
Like Thomas the Doubter. Do you
Yeah.
know that story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to check in. Check in. Don't jump rash when you see a little guide. Check in. One more person. Yes.
Well, I love when you said the longest and shortest sentence.
Oh.
I do. So,
The longest and shortest sentence. I do. Yeah. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah. So I pray, and I know some of you have a lot of sacred institutions in your mind about this world. Family, amusement parks, or whatever, your favorite beer. And it might sound like, Michael's so irreverent. Well, I am. So if this rubs you the wrong way, go do a different rubber. Rub, anyway, go to a different place. But I also am saying, I do not mean it disrespectfully when I make fun of this world, when I make fun of this stuff. I can't mean it it doesn't even really exist. So I can't be criticizing it. I know it's not real, but I do feel for us who buy into it and get hurt. So giving an opportunity for redirection and say, you know what? Don't buy into this, and don't let your kids bother you when they become disrespectful. It's another stage. You hold your center. This too shall pass. Whatever else is happening, it's stages. You keep your center and you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's inevitable. No, like 23rd Psalm, God awaits holding a sacred space at the end of the walk so that you can celebrate your achievement in consciousness. But your achievement in consciousness, how high you end up, depends on how you do in that second stage. Let this beat you up, this comes down. Walk through it well. You won't probably walk through it perfectly. But how did you do? On a 0 to 10, how did you do? You know, it's okay to say, oh my God, I didn't know about this, so it was a 2. Nice. Now you know better. When I've looked at myself and, 10 years ago going through this thing, I would have said about an 8. Everybody that was there here at the center said, Michael, oh my God, that was a 10. I'm glad you think so. That's good. I appreciate that. For me, it was an 8, which is high, but I could still see moments of doubt, moments of fear that others didn't see. And they didn't need to see, because you don't have to let your kids know. And I'm not saying your children, I'm saying the metaphor, right? The archetype. Your kids don't have to always see when you're panicked. And during those times, I didn't bleed it out on everybody, but I had those moments of doubt. So see where you can rate yourself in those areas. Thank you. So thank you. And please stand for our closing prayer. Overall, how did you all feel today?
Great.
Good. Can we say thank you to our beloved music channel, Nina? And those of you watching online, we greatly appreciate you joining us. Remember that you're a light worker and you're a bulb on that string of light, so you light up the area in your own life the best way you can. You can do study groups, you can have a group online you can connect with. Just, it's important, all of us, it's important to not feel alone with life, with the world changing, with the world collapsing, with the world evolving. 2 or more. We go into the ark of God, 2 or more, like we did animals with Noah's ark, 2 or more, okay? So join with others as best you can to create a network of love. Centering breaths, please. Gratitude for this gathering. All that we do here, even our tenacious and clear admins and board members, making sure we bring in the best events we can and say no to that which doesn't feel right. So much gratitude. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thank you.